Jeremy Adams, Fernando Pasarin, Sergei Kuna, Lisandro Esterin, and George Cambadayas explore the past, present, and future of the 1 Minute War as the origins of the Fraction are revealed. Jeremy Adams treats us to a really interesting one-shot special that sets out in a fun and unique way, giving us a story that's set in the past, 2 in the present, and 1 in the future, presenting us with a great big tapestry to hang this 1 Minute War on and kind of explore its far reaches. We also finally get the origins of the Fraction, and it was great, and it mirrored Barry's own discovery of the Speed Force, even right down to a science experiment giving the leader of the Fraction's forces on Earth his powers. Other than the origins, Adams taps back into future state of all things with the return of Gold Beetle, giving her a team up with Jai, which I felt was just really a big tease for an upcoming story or book Adams wants to do that will continue their adventures, and one I would gladly pay for since the little bit we got here between both of them, they had a really great dynamic and I would love to see more of that. Fernando Pasarin, Sergei Kuna, Lisandro Esterin, and George Cambadayas come together to help tell Adams' stories, each bringing something special to their particular tale to deal with. Pasarin, being a Flash mainstay as he's often the main artist through Adams' run, had a really lovely film grain-like texture to his work, which really made the action and colours pop. Akuna's work on the Avery Ho storyline felt very much like a manga or an anime in places, especially with Avery's big eyes and the fast-paced action. Esterin's slasher storyline with Godspeed, which was really quite great, was fittingly dark and creepy, and Cambadayas' future set storyline was very stylish and colourful, and I really like the way he conveys speed, and it's not just lines behind a character, the character's limbs are like extended like they're running through time, and it looks really unique. The Flash 1 Minute War special built out the Flash-centric event in all the ways I wanted it to, finally shedding some light on the villains and their origins, and picking up on the extended Flash family stories, setting them up for some really fun adventures. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. The Flash 1 Minute War special heads to the far side of the galaxy to the home of the Fraction. A being says that their race was once one with the planet, living in harmony with the natural world, all under the rule of the Empress. At one point, the scientists of the world discovered a new power source, which when harnessed could leap their civilization a millennia ahead of anyone else in just a year. The Empress commissioned a machine which could pierce time and space and harness this energy. The scientists, however, needed a guinea pig, so Vel Anthro of the Empress's guard volunteered, hooking himself up to the machine and activating it. The machine, however, explodes with power, covering Vel in it. The scientists rush to his aid, but Vel moves as fast as lightning, accidentally cutting a scientist in half with his bare hand. The scientists are pleased with what they have found, and more of these conduits were constructed by the Fraction, giving more people the speed powers to help construct a huge armored covering around their planet, eating up all of their natural resources and forcing them to build outward, connecting all of their other planets and even the sun itself into its web. The need for more became too big, and they would need the life of 1,000 worlds to sustain their one. So the Empress called on Vel to go and take more worlds for the Fraction. Vel, however, had a price for this mission, demanding the Empress marry him if he returns successful, despite the Palace Guard almost killing him for his insolence. Vel's deal is agreed upon by the Empress, and the now Admiral of the Fraction heads out with his army to colonize and absorb many more worlds. Thanks to the conduit's powers, they could travel beyond space and time with an infinite number of places to gather resources from. Vel begins to grow the Fraction into a force to be reckoned with, but he begins to wonder if he should give up their lives for the planets that they are taking. He quickly puts that from his mind, wanting to take everything for their own survival, since the Fraction is a mercy and nothing will stand in their way. On Earth, Avery Ho is left at the mercy of Dark Wu, who takes the speedster's soul, sucking it into a gem which he uses to turn himself into a golden being. Wu says that once he leaves Earth's atmosphere and the gem is unlinked from the bonds of Earth, he can then focus the power through the sun and immolate Earth entirely. Suddenly he freezes in place as Avery passes out. Avery awakens sometime later, but Wu is still frozen in front of her. She hears an ominous noise outside, and being that she is in a weakened state, she hides as some Fraction soldiers speed into the room, surrounding the frozen Wu before carting him off. Avery decides to follow them to their hideout to see what they have planned, but unfortunately she finds they are loading Dark Wu onto a spaceship, which she hopes isn't going into space, since if Dark Wu gets out of the atmosphere, he will begin to absorb the sun into the gem and will destroy the world. She also figures that Wu has her soul in the gem, which she can't live without, so she has to go and save the villain. Avery jumps onto the ship before it takes off, but her hitting the hull alerts the soldiers inside, who see her on some view screens. The ship tries to shake her off, but Avery continues to try and get into the ship. Finding the metal isn't something she can vibrate through. Luckily, inside the ship, Wu's gem explodes with power, blowing a hole in the side of the ship. Avery uses the hole to get into the ship and finds the guards trying to kill Wu, telling them to smash the gem, not Wu. Avery takes the guards down and uses one of their weapons to blast apart the gem, causing her soul to be transferred back into her body and Wu to return to his dark wizard self. Avery grabs the unconscious villain and escapes the ship, running down a building to the ground where she spots more frozen people, making her wonder what the hell is going on in the city. Elsewhere, a group of Fraction soldiers tap an oil reserve by a river, finishing up ahead of schedule. Since they are finished, one suggests that they go exploring the creepy old mansion nearby. The soldiers head inside, finding frozen people mid-party, taking one of the people's cell phones and wondering why they all seem to have these square devices. Suddenly they hear a creak, making one note how they heard a noise moving this fast, it means something is there with them. The soldiers split up, with one heading into the kitchen where someone grabs a knife, stabbing and killing the soldier violently. The others try to get in contact with their teammate but keep moving through the mansion. One finds it's quaint how the humans still use paper as he hears a teammate scream, rushing out of the library he was in to try and find them. The soldier calls out to his friends but suddenly is knocked over by someone. The being says he finds it interesting he can understand the aliens, thinking they have some sort of translation device. The being plans on giving the alien his name and he'll let him go so he can warn his friends. The being is revealed to be Godspeed, who wants the alien to warn his friends about who is going to be the end of them and they cannot outrun him or vengeance. Godspeed stabs at the man as the squad leader frantically calls for them over the comms. In the far future, Jai West attacks the Fraction forces, using his strength powers to blow open one of their spires and revert the nearby soldiers back to real time, allowing him to battle them with ease. Jai remembers all of this is happening in the recent past as his brother has been kidnapped, but his battles taught him a lot about the enemy, but they are still an army and are tough even for Surge to deal with. Jai calls for the Flash, who is busy traveling from the multiverse into hypertime with a lead on their brother. Iray speeds through the different worlds, assuring Jai that Impulse told her that a friend was coming to meet him and to provide backup. Jai suddenly hears music as Gold Beetle makes her grand entrance in her gold bug ship, blasting the soldiers down. Beetle introduces herself to Surge, telling him that she's there to rescue him. Jai realizes that Gold Beetle is Lily, who demands to know how the man knows her secret identity. Jai knows that they were friends for a long time previously, revealing his own identity to the woman. Lily recognizes him as Jai from the Nexus Fair, as Jai says that he didn't think he would ever see the woman again, and it's good to know that she's alive. Lily suddenly kisses Jai, who thinks that the kiss felt like the day he got his powers, and it felt like destiny. Lily thinks that she should have kissed him when they last met, remembering she told herself that if she ever saw Jai again, she would kiss him. Beetle wants to know what the deal is with the Fraction, so Surge fills her in on the Speed Force army, telling her that she doesn't need to stick around, but Beetle wants to help Jai get his brother back, and she isn't about to let Jai out of her sight again, and besides, together there is nothing they can't do, and it's obvious that Jai likes her. Jai is left speechless, and Lily thinks that he is very likable. She makes fun of the idea of him keeping a journal, but Jai quickly reminds her that it's an action log, asking if Lily is always so sure of herself. Gold Beetle knows that she is, and he better get used to it since they have a lot of people to save.